Chances are if you clicked on this video, then you think I'm joking. Well, I'm not. Looking at characters crying is actually incredibly cathartic for me for one reason or another. Toxic masculinity is an interesting term. Every time I hear it, I'm torn between two different ideals. One being that I've been around numerous masculine figures in my life from time to time, and most of them exhibit traits that you would find far too over the top and unnecessary just to prove something to present themselves in a particular kind of way. So far as to even chastise those that express themselves emotionally in order to bolster their own masculine persona. The other is this identity of a finely chiseled man with perfect abs that goes to the gym daily, able to achieve virtually anything, and overall never has a bad day to their name, getting along with everyone perfectly. But I think it's the most satisfying, or ironic, if you will, to think of both of them as this ideal that all should be well, that a person can present their best selves and be that way. That by cutting yourself off from certain emotional stimuli and presenting this type of persona, you would inevitably step into the shoes of the ideal man. While I'm far from the representation of peak masculine identity, these ideals have been beaten into me to the point where I try quite hard to hide my emotion or push certain thoughts into others that aren't necessarily for their best interest. It's not in the slightest bit healthy, but it's what my brain keeps trying to do. Heck, one could say that I'm so deep into this mentality that I wouldn't even think that toxic masculinity is the problem, but rather society is for the outdated tradition that comes from our ancestors that have no idea what the internet is. All that's to say is, I've got psychological needs, and one of them is the sweet, sweet nectar of a person that's down on their luck and someone who's ready to let out everything that's been waiting for that feeling. Because I just don't know how sometimes. It's easier for me to see a character in a show express their anger or sadness in a display of breaking down and acceptance of a situation than it is for me to reconcile my own complicated pent-up emotions. Because on one hand, at least these characters have a valid reason to relieve themselves of the emotional burden and giving it an outlet. But in comparative to my own issues, I might as well say that I have a minor inconvenience. When I see someone that's trying their hardest to hold in negative emotions, and finally is shown to cry, that ends up scratching an itch for me. It's one thing if a character is constantly crying throughout the runtime over the smallest things, but to have a satisfying breakdown that the audience has been guided along towards is just chef's kiss. And bonus points if it's hard to see it coming. I've seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once 4 times. And, well, no spoilers, but the ending scene continues to play in my mind like it's trying to tell me something. Each time I do end up watching it, there's always this feeling that clings to me. It makes me feel as though I need that in life. However, after a while, that feeling goes away. It's frustrating in a way. It's like afflicting me with an itch that I can't scratch on my own without it. I used to think that I craved this feeling on myself. This abyss of darkness, of sadness that just needs to be let out. And looking back on past events, the catharsis of how good it would feel to cry is good in hindsight, due to some mental pressure that's been finally letting out in some form of resolution. I can't deny that the majority of the issues I come up with are in my own head, but hell, I can't stop them from regressing without $6 billion of therapy. That old saying of you are what you eat makes me think that it should be you are what you crave. Those desires that you have deep down, negative or positive, is what your mind really wants in the long run. Those cathartic breakdowns of a character that's finally had enough and doesn't know exactly what to do and just crumbles to the floor in defeat. Yeah. Go give yourself some love. And watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. And have a great day. And see you tomorrow. And thanks for watching. And bye.